PR Connections Radio presents Ethics Realty is a full-service real estate agency that provides a service for finding the ideal property for residential, commercial, and investor-centered clients. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned buyer or investor, they provide service to all and listen to understand your goals and needs. For more information about their wealth and investment-centered services, call 702-518-1606 or visit their website, ethicsrealty.net.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evelyn's Roundtable. This podcast highlights a host of relevant topics. Our conversations share voices of women of color, Black women veterans and veterans, allies, candidates, and elected officials, entrepreneurs, teachers, students, and others. We also explore important issues and challenges such as grassroots leadership, job training, homelessness, and mental health advocacy, accountability, male inclusion, and civics. Our mission statement is to empower all women. You hear me? All women to hold hands as we rise. Well, hello. Oh my gosh, y'all. Look who we're sitting in front of right now. Becky Harris. Thank you so much for being on here today, and I really appreciate you coming on here. When we met about a month or so, something like that, and I was like, well, wait a minute, she's doing some good stuff out here, and I really think it's important for, especially in this time, for everybody, especially women, to have a voice. And in Nevada is what we care about. Everybody says, oh, what is happening in DC? Well, we kind of care about that, but we care about what's happening right here. And we need to fix what's happening right here. So I just thank you again for coming on, and thank everybody that's listening today to us for coming on here to listen to us and all the good things we're going to talk about. So Becky, could you please let us know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my husband and I have lived in Las Vegas for decades. We came here right out of the military, where he was in the Army. We came from Fort Irwin, California, the National Training Center. That was quite an experience to live there and see the sacrifices that are made on our behalf to keep us safe. He's a dentist, and so he is also an entrepreneur and started a dental practice here in Las Vegas. We raised our children here, and now we have grandchildren who have been born and are being raised here. So we love Nevada. Las Vegas in particular has been so good to us, and we've been very, very happy here.
Wow. And something which is interesting, because everybody, I didn't know that her husband is a veteran, and that's beautiful. And I'm like, you need to be talking about that. And because, sometimes people say, oh, thank you for your service. You're like, here we go again, right? Thank you for your service. But you lived it, of it. And it's different. Then you'll hear, oh, well, my husband is this, or my brother, and you're like, and just the tone and the way they're saying it, you're thinking, bullshit. I'm just gonna say it, y'all. I'm gonna call it like it is, y'all. And that's not cool either. And you please talk more about that, about living the life of a wife of a veteran, because again, not everyone is valuing, right? And you are, and I wish you would really tell more people about this and bring this out and everything. So can you tell a little bit about the things that you went through, some of your feelings or things you had to face?
Yeah, so we entered the military right out of graduate school, and we loved it. I mean, I would love to still be in the military, and I'll get to why we're not in just a minute, but we went from Virginia, where my husband was in graduate school to become a dentist, to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is when I think of the 4 forward operating bases in the United States, where they can be literally anywhere in the world in 24 hours. It's a massive, massive military base, and it sprawls out across Tennessee and across Kentucky. And because of his medical training and the needs of the base, we had to be within 15 minutes of the base at all times, because he was constantly being called in to assist with emergencies and other things like that. And he was doing some advanced training that you can only get in the military. And we're really, really grateful for that training. After he finished that program, we moved to Fort Irwin, California, to the National Training Center, where we completed the rest of his military service. And I loved it because we got to actually live on base at that military installation. And the camaraderie among the women, it's the women who run the families and when you're in the military, and to join forces with my military sisters in my neighborhood was an amazing thing. And as a neighborhood, we would come together, and one of us would be making dinner, a couple of us would be shepherding around the kids, others would be cleaning up living rooms, so that when the husbands came home after a big long day, everything was ready to go. And because we were the National Training Center, there were rotations. And so every 2 weeks, most of the men in the military base would be sleeping in their Humvees in the desert, where they would literally be 5 miles from home, but cooking MREs on their engine block as they're out engaging in these skill-based exercises to help train people to learn how to fight in the desert. And that was quite a compelling thing to see husbands sacrifice to be away from their families when they could literally be home in minutes, but instead they're part of an exercise and they're being true to those exercises. And so we would shut down the neighborhoods, and big wheels and bicycles and beach chairs would just line the sidewalks, and the kids would just have full reign of the neighborhoods for the time when the dads were gone. And it was at that time that I really got a taste of the significant resources, or the significant resources that women offer to each other, as well as the significant sacrifices that our armed services provide. You know, there was a saying on post, you know, we'll live like you won't, so that you can be free.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah.
And we saw that. My husband didn't actually go into combat, but we had friends who did, and we're grateful for the experiences and the challenges that they were willing to accept to go and serve our country to keep us safe, and so that we could enjoy the freedoms that we have. And some of them come back with the battle scars, the emotional and psychological scars, as well as the physical scars. And I think unless you truly have an opportunity to be up close and personal to those profound sacrifices that are being made on our behalves, it's sometimes difficult to really personalize what other people are doing on our behalf, right? Those children who gladly sacrifice time with their dads so that you and I can pursue the things that we want to here and be safe and come home to a warm house and, you know, make dinner or run through a drive-through, while so many of our armed services are living in tents and, you know, structured housing that's not warm or well air conditioned, where they're getting very little sleep, where they're constantly on call, where their meals are not always the type of meal that they would necessarily want to have, where they're willing to be dirty and live in challenging circumstances so that you and I can put laundry in the washing machine at 11 o'clock at night.
Isn't that something when you experience it and I think, because I know what you're talking about, and when I'm being disrespected, it's really hard for me to just sit there and take it. Sometimes I'm like, how dare you talk to me like that, you know? And there's been a lot of situations where I had to just walk away, and then you have others that are around it and seeing you get disrespected, and they just kind of go, oh, whatever. And they serve too. And I'm thinking, wow, you're supposed to have my 6, regardless of what the situation is. Yeah, you might be friends with that person or whatever, but you still should have kind of like, been there with me to say, hey, why are you talking to Evelyn like that? Hey, we shouldn't be, or even in private if you took that person aside. But I've been finding too many situations where that's not even happening. And it's just like, wow. So now I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm the first Black woman to be commander of American Legion Post 51. Why am I folding? Why am I putting my head down when you're talking bad or disrespecting me? No, I need to hold my head up high and be like, okay, whatever.
Well, and I think there's something really profound. It is a wonderful thing when people come up and say, thank you for your service. I think it's a profound thing when you can walk up to somebody that you know has served in the military or is currently serving in the military and say, I know.
Whole different thing, right? Mm-hmm. Whole different thing. We just had, just the past weekend, I made sure 3 women in my post got the Quilts of Valor. And I felt so good when I was able to do that for them. And one is still currently serving. And I just was like, oh my gosh, and doing something like that, I felt so good. It just like, hey, I see you. I recognize you.
And that's an incredible thing for any soldier to receive that award. But what a wonderful visible reminder for women that they matter and that their sacrifices are being recognized and that they're being elevated, because, the military is still male dominated and a lot of the leadership is still male. But over time, as more young ladies decide that there's benefit for them to serving in the military, and as their interests in that kind of service increase, we're going to begin to see more equity in the leadership. And it's just a wonderful thing for these trailblazers, right? These women who are blazing a path, and a difficult path, so that those who follow can really reap the benefits of their sacrifices.
Yes. And speaking of sacrifices, you are running. Oh my gosh. Talk about sacrifices. Can you give us some info on, okay, when are you planning on doing all this, and why and where?
So I'm not a stranger to public service. I served as a state senator, and I've also been the chair of the Nevada Gaming Control Board. So public service is in my heart. It's in my soul. I stayed out of it for quite a while. And then I just noticed that our community needs somebody who's going to advocate for them and stand up for the things that we need, like community gathering places, better amenities like roads, and the ability for proper drainage to go in with projects, and people that are willing to listen to the community and the neighborhood, somebody who is willing to find that right balance between growth and development and the needs of the community. And I decided, if not me, who?
Right.
And I just decided it should be me. I should step up and really provide that leadership like I have in the past. My path to the county commission actually started all the way back in 1990, if you can believe it.
Wow. Okay. So tell them what seat that you're going to run for.
So I'm going to run for District F.
Okay.
And the reason that I say that my path to this election started in 1990 is because when I was in law school, I took a class called Real Estate Development. And as part of that class, we had to pick a project, and we had to figure out the financing. We had to figure out what permits were needed, and we had to put it together, and we actually had to present it to a mock county commission for our grade. And
oh, wow.
I loved it. I was hooked. Yeah, I was absolutely hooked. I loved that. It was my favorite class in law school. And then when I moved to Las Vegas, we lived in a really quickly developing community that needed somebody who had the skill set to bring the community together and present neighborhood concerns before the Clark County Commission. And because of my experience in law school, I became that community advocate. And we had some uses where we worked with developers to find better places than in the middle of our neighborhood to put their businesses. And so I kind of began to get this reputation as a community advocate. And that's really what launched me into running for elected office. Wow. So as part of these county commission hearings that I would represent my neighborhood on, I really kind of began to think, I would really like to be part of this conversation, part of deciding how Clark County should grow, being dynamic and making sure that neighbors' concerns are being listened to, and finding that compromise with developers, recognizing that growth and development is here to stay, that we've got to find some kind of a balance, because growth and development are good for our economy. They're what help provide good paying jobs. They're what provide the amenities that we come to rely on as a community. And I wanted to be part of that conversation. And so that's another reason that I stepped up. The third reason that I stepped up is because I'm a nonpartisan. 47% of the people in my district are either nonpartisan or other party affiliations. And I think for the first time, those voters actually have a visible reminder that there is somebody that's willing to represent them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Hell yes. Yeah, I swore again, y'all. Yeah, I did. Hell yes. And so can you tell them the area of your commissioner seat? Is that for those that don't know the location and where it's at?
Yeah, so we're the southwest side of the valley. So we start all the way up by Charleston and kind of take that westernmost tip as we're headed south. We jump over to Henderson, where the M Casino is, and then continue all the way down to the state line. And then we've got Good Springs and Blue Diamond, Sloan, and some other rural communities that are part of the district as well. So we have this wonderful, rich diversity of rural and urban. We can do everything in my commission district that I live in, from gamble at a casino to go to the water park, to rock hounding in Good Springs, Nevada, to seeing the Burros and Blue Diamond. We just really have a lot to offer from Commission District F.
Yes, you do. You do. And so I got two questions for you. So even though it might not be in your area or anything like that, would you help with supporting women veterans? If I'm not saying to go in there and fight, but I'm saying because housing is a big thing for women veterans right now. Job training is a big thing for women veterans right now. And even sexual harassment or harassment is a big thing, not just for women veterans, but it's for across the board in trades too. So could I count on you to, I'm not saying, do things that illegal things. I'm not saying that, but would you, if I pick the phone and say, Becky, can you support us, or can you help with the paper or statements, or would you be willing, if it was, like I said, not illegal stuff, but things that are, would you be willing to help us?
100%. And yes, 100%. I actually have a record of doing that already. So it's just consistent with who I am. When I was chair of the Gaming Control Board, we were looking at sexual harassment prevention policy that we were trying to get passed through the commission. And you can Google that and find out all about that. So I have a history of trying to work on that issue. As the chair of the Gaming Control Board, when I was in the legislature, I co-signed onto and helped shepherd bills with regard to how sexual abuse survivors are treated and what their reporting requirements and deadlines could be. We looked at expanding those out so that anybody, but women in particular who experience those kinds of tragedies in their childhood, had enough time to grow, develop, and become empowered to be able to start to deal with some of those things that happen to them early in life. So that's the sexual harassment piece. With regard to the economic development and career advancement for women, I do that in my day job now. So I work in providing leadership upskilling opportunities and programs through UNLV for women in vulnerable populations. So we have 3 different classes. One's called Success at Work, which is an entry-level program for people who are new to the workforce, who are returning to the workforce, or maybe are underemployed and need to kind of grow out some basic skills as an employee. We have Dream Academy, which is for the management level, anybody that's looking to continue that career progression and go into management. It's a week-long series of programming for that. And then for women who are high performing, who are hoping to go to the C-suite or to boards, so it's more of an executive level of education, we have a program called Women Up. And we are seeing just tremendous success from these programs for women and those who are from vulnerable populations. It's just been really tremendous to see the impact that we're having on the Nevada workforce, because we really want all of our people to have great jobs. So women in particular, I learned during the time I was chair of the Nevada Gaming Control Board, a really interesting fact. Nevada is one of the states that leads single family households led by women. Right. So if a woman is running the household and she's the sole employed entity in that household and has to provide for parents and children, or maybe a disabled spouse or whatever it is, we need good jobs for women who can be able to work just one job and not 3 jobs. They need to be home to provide support and care for their families. So,
wow.
Yes, I'm happy to help on those issues, because they're already issues that I love and deal with.
I mean, that's just beautiful, because those are all the things that I'm involved in too, helping women to get into the unions and to have good jobs, and by helping these women that are underserved, unemployed, or going through domestic situations, or maybe the husband is working, and if she can work, and that would help with the household, right? And you're right. I've been saying that too, it's about 90% women are head of household in this state. And it's time, everybody. It's time to start helping with things like that, not being the gatekeeper or, so Nevada Women Trades, I think, should have a billboard on, hey, we help women, we do this, or even about us helping veteran women with housing and things that you talked about. And it's just like, wow, I've been doing Nevada Women Trades 7 years now. And it's just interesting that they're still catching on to what I'm doing. I still get phone calls on, oh, I didn't know you were even here. And I didn't know that you were doing this to help women. Or I'll get, well, what is trades? And I didn't know that. And I didn't know you can make that money. Or those that are in jails or in prisons. Oh, well, I didn't know that if I had a background that I still could get into the trades and take care of and then not go back to jail. Right? Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Because, we going to do some good things. We going to do some good things out here. Is there anything else that you need to give your email or your website or any of that? Can you give that, please?
I'm happy to. And actually, I'm going to start with my cell phone. So my cell phone number is 702-324-0404. You can email me at Becky, that's BECKY, Becky at BeckyHarrisNV.com. Website is elect Becky Harris.
I think it cut out a little bit. Can you do that one more time? The elect.
Certainly. Phone number, cell phone, 702-324-0404. Email, Becky, BECKY, at BeckyHarrisNV.com, website electbeckyharris.com.
Oh my gosh. This was so beautiful, and thank you for coming on here and doing this for all of us. It's not just for you. This is for all of us, everybody. And also remind everybody that to be able to go on and check out Evelyn's Roundtable, and you'll be able to find Becky Harris on there, and probably, I don't know, we're going to be probably about 1:00 or something on New Year's Day. We'll be on here, and I just love everybody. And also every first and third Wednesday of the month, Evelyn's Roundtable and we're live streamed, and you can go on my website at www.nevada, spelled out, WIT.org. And again, do you have any last words that you want to give our audience and why they're listening and paying attention to you?
Well, Evelyn, I want you to remember that you are a trailblazer, that you are clearing pathways for other women, and that there are going to be plenty to follow. And together, we're going to be able to make a difference.
Oh, hell yeah. We finna do this, y'all. We finna do this. And thank you for who you are and what you stand for, because I know it's not easy. I wish all the women would stand in there and we all be in the dirt, right? Sloughing and doing all that. And I get it. This is not for every woman, but the women that are in the trenches and the women that are standing next to us, please, all of you, let's get in them trenches. Let's pull our bootstraps up, as my great grandma said, pull your underwear up to your chin, and let's get the work done and get this done. It's important. And 2026 is the year for the women. It is. Yeah. It's our time, everybody. It really is. And again, thank you so much. And we're going to have you back on here again, because we want to know all the successes that are going to happen after November. So we want to know what you're doing, what you're going to do, and all of that. And again, everybody, for listening in, I thank you all for listening to Evelyn's Roundtable. And again, the mission statement is to empower all women, to empower all women to hold hands as we rise.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code envisinu.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.